Good afternoon, folks. I hope you're having a wonderful Friday evening as we are starting to see some snow potentially roll across northwest Arkansas at the moment. As we look at live radar, you can see that we're starting to see a little bit of flurries here in Benton, Washington County, and a little bit farther north to down near Anderson, Cassville, and Purdy. And we might also be seeing a little bit farther up north near Pittsburgh and Joplin. However, we aren't, although the radar is showing a little bit of flurries at the moment, I'm not hearing or I'm not seeing any reports on active snow flurries going on right now. So could just be radar being a little bit sensitive, but I'll tell you what, over off to the west of Tulsa here, radar's not acting sensitive towards that as we're on the Tulsa radar right now. But if we go towards the Oklahoma City one, you can see all that snow just strong or moderate to heavy bands of snow will be gradually moving to the east northeast as are going to go ahead and set this in motion. You can see kind of just how much we're going here, and we will start to have some freezing rain potential, especially just north of this or just south of this line, south of Washington County. But we are starting to see the effects of this winter storm come into our coverage area, and so we're going to go ahead and break down real quick what we got going on first of all. Firstly, we do have some winter storm warnings across all of our coverage area: Northwest Arkansas, South Central Kentucky, in north central Tennessee, as well as Missouri, Oklahoma, and Kansas. We have a winter storm warning. We also have an extreme cold warning for all portions of our northwest Arkansas areas, including Benton, Washington County, as well as all of our northeastern counties in the western Ozark, or excuse me, in Oklahoma as well. And those will persist through the weekend, as well as the winter storm warning. So those will persist over around the next 48 hours or so. But as well as in South Central Kentucky, we have a winter storm warning as well. Not as bad on the cold weather though, as we are looking at a cold weather advisory as well, and that'll expire a little bit sooner. But I would not be surprised if we get a cold weather watch come Monday or Sunday or Monday for the cold temperatures on Monday, and we'll get to that a little bit later on. We do just have a regular winter storm warning at the moment in Nashville in that south central, or excuse me, north central Tennessee area, and so nothing too much at the moment there. Also, I want to take a tad bit of a moment to address the random gap here. That's just a glitch in the system. Ignore that. Nothing going on there. So as we move on, I'm gonna go ahead and show you a few models that show potentially some of the longevity and timing of all of this winter weather coming in. So obviously we have the winter weather coming in a little bit earlier than expected, and so you can see at about 0:30 right now. For Saturday, that would be 9 o'clock our time. It's 8:14 at the moment, so it's about accurate, if not a little bit behind. Or actually, I think it'll be fairly on time. But we'll start to see that, and we'll really start to see some heavy bands come in just a little bit past Saturday, or just a little bit past midnight on Saturday. Um, Excuse me, I'm sorry about my voice. And we'll continue to see a light to moderate snow, and then we'll lighten up a little bit. Come Sunday overnight, though, we will start to see one last big push of heavy snow falling. We could even see a little bit of sleet and freezing rain, just a little bit there in our far southern portions of Washington County. And we could even see a little bit there in far southeastern portions as well. Now, if we're going to go to the NAM 3 kilometer, and I will address Kentucky here in just one moment, but we are going to focus on who's getting hit soonest first. Now, going through the NAM 3 kilometer as well, you can see that first of all, way more defined, but also this has it coming in at about midnight and showing its first self around midnight. Well, it's 8:15. We're already starting to see some snow flurries, so this is lagging behind a fair bit. And if we do have a new model run as well, so we'll go ahead and look at that, see if it's updated at all. And it still hasn't really updated as much on the timing. It's updated a little bit, but still not great. It has it coming in at 10 o'clock. But you can see as it goes through the rest that we have that heavy snow band once again overnight Sunday and into Sunday morning, as well as that sleet and ice or freezing rain potential in far south Washington County, as previously mentioned. Now, looking at the HRRR ZOZ, you can see that once again lagging behind just a little bit. However, it's just a couple of hours, which with a regular storm may not be that much of a big deal, but with snow, it can cause a little bit more effects. Could be a little bit cooler, could be a little bit warmer. depending on how that is. And so you can see that this wants to show another gap. So far, all the models have been consistent on a little bit of a gap of at least light to no snow, and then HRRR really wants to shows that one last bit of heavy snow, and it's actually wanted to push it a little bit longer than all the other models, as it will finally leave around Sunday. Um, excuse me, late afternoon Sunday. Now we're going to go back to the European model, the ECMWF, and we're going to look at northwest, or excuse me, the south central Kentucky area and the North Cumberland River area. As you can see, around just a little bit before noon on Saturdays, when we could start to see that snow start to roll in, and it'll continue, and it'll get heavy fast. The snow will come in, and then you'll get just pounded by a bunch of heavy snow. So it can blindside you very quickly if you're not careful. And then we start to see freezing rain and sleet potential. And this is what I'm most concerned about for Northwest, or for, excuse me, South Central Kentucky and North Central Tennessee, and especially North Central Tennessee. I think Nashville, Clarksville, and Murfreesboro area are going to have very big impacts from this. But regardless, as we push through the rest of the day on Sunday, you can see, or excuse me, on Saturday into Sunday, that freezing rain just does not let up. And we start to see a little bit of snow, possibly on the back half of it as well, just to finish it off. Now looking back at the NAM 3 kilometer, and it's showing a little bit of snow just about 6 a.m. ish, which is really early. That's pretty early for all things considered. Has heavy snow by noon o'clock, or excuse me, noon. I don't know why I said noon o'clock, but at about noon, and then you have that just little bit of you can see the boundary very well there of freezing versus sleet and freezing rain. So. And that'll lift a little bit farther north, bring more sleet than freezing rain. However, we will continue to see freezing rain throughout the next hours. And this is just the name 3 kilometer. This is not loaded completely, but it shows generally that consensus. This rolls through and comes back as a little bit more freezing rain and snow on the 18Z. So that's generally, so far, the European and the NAM 3 kilometer are on the same page there. Now, if we look at the HRRR, it has snow starting to show its head there in Bowling Green and Nashville area around just a little bit before or about 10 a.m. ish. About 10 a.m. is when we start to see that snow start to come in and heavy snow too. Like I said, it's gonna come in very quickly and you can be very blindsided if you're not careful, and you really shouldn't be out tomorrow past 10 o'clock um, unless you are either working or excuse me, 10 a.m. without working or having some sort of other excuse, as the roads are going to turn bad very quickly, and HRRR shows that freezing rain as well as sleet continuing on for quite a while. So what do we see from the total snowfall and rain, or excuse me, and total ice? Well, looking at the HRRR first of all, you can see that it's shown around 5.8, around 6 inches. Now you go towards the more Tennessee line, you'll see around 3 to 4 inches, possibly isolated spots higher than that. Then the farther south you go, down towards South Nashville, and then Murfreesboro, you'll start to see right around 2 to 4 inches. Could even see up to 5. It really just depends on the system. However, I think will be more of the freezing rain side there in Nashville and South or North Central Tennessee. I cannot get that right for the life of me today. Clarksville, you'll be kind of the middleman around 4 to 6 inches, I believe, will be possible. Now, was the NAN 3 kilometer say, well, we're going to go ahead and go back to the old 18Z model. That way we can get the full run and look at how that is. And so, excuse me, I went to the wrong one there, but looking at total snowfall, or wrong thing there. Nope, that was correct. Pardon me there. Excuse me. Now, if you look at Bowling Green once again, right around that 5, 6 inch mark, we could see isolated more bits than that, or we could see a little bit more snow than that. It really just depends on how much of what time that freezing rain and sleet transition happens, and that'll be the biggest question going into it. And that's something we won't really know until we get to that time. And so, as you can see, Nashville, you're just not favorable on snow. About 1 to 2 inches is what the NAM 3 kilometers show. In Clarksville, you're once again you're going to be the middleman. You're kind of in between. Uh, 3 to 6 inches there. So once again, about 4 to 6 inches there for you. Now looking at total ice, and this is the most concerning part about all of this for me, and I think for all of South Central Kentucky, or far South Central Kentucky, as well as North Central Tennessee. As you can see, over a half inch possible of ice in south central Tennessee, or south central, or excuse me, north central Tennessee. I cannot get that correct for the life of me today, and I do very much apologize for that. As you can see, that a half inch will be very bad on the infrastructure and the power grid. It can be very devastating. That's when you start to see limbs collapse due to, or tree limbs start to collapse due to the weight of the ice, because that ice, freezing rain is basically just a water pellet that once it lands, it freezes. Um, and so it clings on to everything. Power lines, especially cars. Once this freezing rain falls Sunday, good luck getting into your car even at all, and you shouldn't, unless it's a medical emergency or some sort of other emergency is warranted. However, looking at that uh, ice potential in south central Kentucky, we are still looking up to a half inch to a quarter inch. I think we'll be about a half an inch, to be quite honest. And if we look at the HRRR as well, you'll see that we are about the same process as well. HRRR has it a little bit farther north, which I think is a little bit more correct, as you can see about a half inch there. And if this is true, then Nashville could be devastated with almost up to 3/4 of an inch, and that is just a quarter of an inch is enough to do pretty good damage or do damage to the infrastructure. Half inch can be devastating to infrastructure, and then a 3/4 of an inch that can be power outages for more than just 24 hours. That can be 48 to 72 hours. Could be even longer. It really depends on where you are, and just how bad it could be. So this is a major storm that we are talking about, and I'm going to go back to total, or we're going to look at total snowfall from what the Weather Prediction Center's more general prediction is on what they think as well outside of the models. You'll probably see up to over a foot of snow. That doesn't surprise me at all. There is quite a lot of snow that is going to fall there, and I can't wait to see some of the pictures. And I really hope y'all stay safe while doing it, as it will be bitterly cold. And we'll get to that in just one moment as well about just how cold it will be. But looking at Joplin and even Pittsburgh and such, I mean, y'all are seeing almost a foot of snow, if not over a foot of snow, which is just an incredible amount for what. I can't remember the last time in my life personally I've seen that much. I don't think we have seen that much in the Northwest Arkansas, Western Ozarks area, and really since I want to say 2000 or 2011, 2009. It's been over a decade, that is for sure. Now, looking a little bit towards Bowling Green and the north central Tennessee area, you can see about 6.6 inches, and this is give or take an inch or two. This isn't going to be precise. That no snow forecast is going to be precise on the dime. So around 6 inches, could be a little bit more, could be a little bit less. Now, once you go a little bit farther south, now near Nashville, about 3 inches worth down towards or excuse me, northwest towards Clarksville, about 5 inches. So, the farther north you go in Bowling Green, or excuse me, in Tennessee and Kentucky, you'll see that you'll get more snow, and especially up there in Louisville. I know that's outside of our cover or my coverage area, but up to a foot of snow, and honestly, could even be more than that, to be quite honest. But like I said, there's going to be major impacts to our infrastructure and just roads in general. So I hope you are prepared for this because this will be a very impactful storm. As you look at the moderate impact potential on roads, and you can see across all coverage areas, it is going to be moderate to major impacts, very likely. Now, if we look at major impact probability, yeah, Northwest Arkansas and the Western Ozarks and Southwest Missouri, you're definitely going to be in that major impacts. Almost a foot of snow is going to do a lot of damage to your infrastructure and the roads and all that kind of stuff. And so, Now, if you look a little bit more towards Bowling Green and such, and the Nashville uh, area, you can see that we don't really have too much in terms of South Central Kentucky. However, down near Nashville, just off to the southwest, you do have a little bit more of a enhanced chance, we'll go ahead and say, of major impacts. And I definitely think that that major impact might be scooted up a little bit more north, depending on that freezing rain potential. Now, looking at the winter storm, excuse me, the winter storm severity index, you can see that we have primarily just major impacts over all of the western Ozarks area. That is no surprise. I'm absolutely not surprised by that. Um, and major impacts is expect considerable uh, disruptions to daily life, dangerous or impossible driving conditions, and obviously you just do not want to drive in this if at all possible, unless it's an emergency or something else going on, because you cannot be doing it during this kind of thing. It's just too much of a hazard. Now, if we look at Bowling Green and the Nashville area, as well as Clarksville, you can see that we're primarily under a moderate impact. However, we could see a major impact probability switching into or scooting into far northern portions of our coverage area, as well as far southeast or southwestern portions of our coverage area as well. So overall, this is a very powerful winter storm, folks, and this is not something to take lightly. But definitely want to stay. But I really hope you've prepared for the storm. And I really hope that you're ready for this. Stay warm, folks. And this is one last thing I want to show before we sign off here. Looking at the temperatures for the next week or so, or for the next few days. It's going to be very cold. Look at these temperatures on Saturday. We're looking about 12 degrees as well in Bowling Green. We're almost getting into the single digits as we do get into the single digits overnight Sunday in the western Ozarks. Now, Bowling Green and the North Cumberland area, you can see that we do have that borderline freezing, borderline not. Um, it kind of start to come in, and that'll be our freezing rain kind of and sleet ordeal there. And so, as you can see, especially as we get into Monday, and this is why we have an extreme cold warning on Monday for northwest Arkansas and all of the western Ozarks area, -4 degrees. And that's not including the wind chill. The wind chill could be up to -15 degrees. That is so, so cold. And I'm very worried about power outages with this cold weather as well. And that could be devastating to not just human life, but animals as well. So please, please, don't be out Monday if you don't need to be. I know it's fun to play in the snow. You have Saturday and Sunday to do it. Monday is going to be dangerous. Hyperthermia can happen within minutes at that temperature. So please just be careful. Now, especially in Bowling Green, we could actually hit negatives in Bowling Green. Now, if you go towards Nashville, it will be a little bit in the lower single digits. However, in Bowling Green, a little bit farther northern portions of our coverage area, we could hit negative temperatures as well as up to -10 to 15 mile an hour feel like temperatures as well. So this is just bitterly cold, and Tuesday is no different. Single digits all the way around. Bowling Green might hit uh, negatives again in the temperature, and so this is just not something you want to play around with. And as we go throughout the week, the next time we potentially see above average, or excuse me, not above average, above freezing temperatures may not be until at least Thursday, and even then, this doesn't go far out enough to say. So it could be the next weekend by the time we start to see above freezing temperatures, and that will do a lot of trouble with all the snow that's on the ground and whatever ice forms. And so this storm is going to be very impactful for at least the next week or so. So, folks, I really hope you've prepared for this. I hope you stay safe out there. Please stay warm. Please make sure you do everything to, preserve life and make sure you stay safe out there, folks. I'll be praying for you. Have a good one, folks.